In this video clip, we want to graph polynomials below. There are two polynomials here. One is f of x equals 2x times x plus 1. Another is 2x plus 1 times x minus 1 times x plus 2. Before we graph this one, we want to be aware is x plus 1 has a square. You see the exponent. Then this one, any number squared is always greater than or equal to 0. Alright, and then at 0 points, are x equals 0 and x equals -1. You see here, you plug in 0 here. F of 0 is 2 times 0 and then times 0 plus 1 squared. Okay, you replace here by 0, 0, 0. So 2 times 0 is 0. 0 times this quantity is 0. So 0 is one of the 0 point. You plug in -1 everywhere here. So you have a f of -1 is 2 times -1, and then -1 plus 1 squared. This one will be 0. Okay, -1 plus 1 is 0. Squared is still 0, so you have a 0. So again, 1 here is positive. So you have a -1. Because this one equals what? 2 times x is 2 times x minus 0. X plus 1 is x minus -1 squared. Okay, so here then you have a 1 0 is x equals -1, another is the one here. Okay, and one right here. What is this one? So you know that the graph will pass 0, 0 and -1, 0. Okay, and then the graph is not going to change the sign at x equals -1, because x plus 1 squared is always positive. So here you may say the sign of f of x depends on the factor x. Okay, so basically the picture will be like what? You have a 0 point. It's here. Another is -1. Here is 0. Here is -1. And then you may see 1x is greater than 0. Let's say here is here is 1, so here is 1. So when you put value 1 here, which is greater than 0, what do you get? You should have what? Positive. You can see here, you see 2 times 1 times 1 plus 1, and then this is positive. But when you plug in a value here, let's say negative 0.5, you should get negative because, let me erase this one, and erase more. So here is negative 0.5, because negative 0.5 is less than 0, and you can see t times negative 0.5, and here negative 0.5 plus 1. This is f of what? The first one is f of 1. The second one is f of negative 0.5. So you see everywhere was x, now you replace by negative 0.5. This one is squared. See? So you always get positive for this one. But here is negative. Okay? You see negative 0.5, you have this one negative. So points greater than 0, this side you have a positive. Points are on the left-hand side, you have a negative, except this point, because again there's a 0 point. Okay, so the picture will be like what? It will be like, because those two are 0 points, so you have a positive here and negative. This is the 0 point, then it's negative. Because on the left-hand side of 0 is negative. On the right hand of 0 is positive. The picture roughly looks like that. Okay. Then when you plug in 2x times x plus 1 in decimal, let me get decimal, 2x times x plus 1 squared, you see the picture? How do you like the picture we get here? From 0, you see greater than. From 0 is positive to the right hand side. And then between 0 and negative 1, see that? Is negative. Okay. See that? Between 0 and negative 1 is negative. And then from negative 1 to the left is also negative. So 1 here is even. The picture touches x-axis. Never change the sign. And for the here, 2 times x, the exponent is 1. Then it's going to change the sign. You see it this place. Greater than 1, greater than 0, positive. Less than 0, negative. Again, except this point. Okay. That's the graph for this function. How about this function? We can do the same thing. You can first do the decimal. Click. And then let's input the function into the decimal. Now, what was the function? I want to input right here. So you want to see f of x equals equal sign, and then 2x plus 1, and x minus 1, and then x plus 2. Yeah. Then you can see the 0 points right here. You see x minus 1, so then 1 is the 0 point. You see, then you want to mark the important points because those are the very important points. So let me get the black color this time. So what I want to do is choose the black one. And then you see we have the graph here. Solution zeros points are what? Or you may say x-intercepts are what? X equals 1, because if you plug in 1 here, you get this one as 0. So you have x equals 1 is for sure. What else? You plug in -1 here, negative 2 here, -2 plus 2, you have a 0. The rest of them is non-zero. When you plug in -2 here, you actually get -3. Okay, -2 minus 1. And here 2 times -2 is -4. And then plus 1, you get -3 as well. But -3 times -3 times this quantity is 0. So you got 0. So you actually have what? -2 is one of them. Okay. How about you get from this vector? If this vector 2x plus 1 is 0, then what value of x would be? You want to do is, let me change the color. So, do more. Change the color. So you do subtract 1 on both sides. So you then have 2x equals -1, because again those 2 will be cancelled. 2x equals -1, and let me change the color again. Divided by 2, so you have x equals -1/2. So here you have -1/2. Okay, so -1/2, -0.5, and 1 will be the zeros. Alright, let me move the picture here. And we can see here, this point is -2, so you have a -2 right here. Here is -1, then here is -0.5, is the one here. And then here is 1, is 1. When this part is positive, okay, when x is greater than 1, you can do is choose a testing point. That's the meaning for testing point. You see, the testing point x greater than 1, you choose 2. What do you get? You have f of 2. You can choose 3, no problem. Well, let's do 2. 2 times 2 plus 1. 2 minus 1, positive 1. And then 2 plus 2. Okay. So what do we get? You get here is 5 times 1 times 4. You have a 20. That's for sure is positive, right? Yeah. So when x is 2, you have like 20. That's why, if 1 point is 2, very high, 20. So then any value, greater than 1, you may choose 1.5. Okay, or you may choose 1.1. Okay, if you want to do 1.1, you can see it's also positive. You plug in 1.1 here. 1.1 minus 1 is 0.1. The rest of this 2.1 here. And here is 2 times 1.1 plus 1. So as long as you get 1 point greater than 1, and which is positive, you get all positive. So that's why 2 is called a testing point. Okay. And then between negative 0.5 and 1, you may choose a negative 0.5. Okay. Negative 0.5 is less than 1. You put right here, put 0.5. This is 0.5 here. Okay. You plug in 0.5 minus 1, you have a negative for this one. But 0.5 at putting here is positive. Put here is positive. Only this one is negative. Because, 0.5 minus 1 is negative. So then the whole thing, 1 negative, 2 positive, yes, 1 negative, 2 positive, you get negative. So between negative 0.5 and 1, you have a negative. Okay, and that's alternate. Yeah, you can choose a point right here. Then from this factor, that's here you get is from this factor, if you choose a point right here, you may choose negative 1. Negative 1. Then here is the 0 point from this factor. So you should have a negative. And then you plug in right here, you also get negative. You plug in negative 1 here, plus 2, you get negative 1. You plug in negative 1 here, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So here is negative 1. Okay. Yeah, and then here is negative 1 minus 1, negative 2. So you have 2 negatives. Okay, negative 1 times negative 2 is positive. And then you have a negative 1 plus 2 is positive 1. So you got 2 negative, 1 positive. This part is going to be positive. And here you can choose another point right here. So you get negative. It's alternate. Alright? So that's the picture. Okay. So please review this lecture. I will see you next time.